Now, when it comes to a fuss-free dinner, it doesn't get much easier or more flavorful than my seared chicken with a Greek salad couscous. How does that sound? I know. I'm feeling very excited about it. This is something that if you are a fast chopper, you can get this done in like, I'd say 12 minutes. And if you're a slow chopper, I'm gonna give you 20, but you can get dinner on the table absolutely beautifully. Now, the first thing I wanna get started on is the couscous. So I've got my kettle on here that's starting to boil up. Couscous is one of my favorite grains to make because it cooks up super quickly. Honestly, sometimes I'll even do this for lunch in the morning. I'll have the kettle on for tea or a coffee. I put a little couscous in a bowl, pour myself a coffee, pour myself some couscous, and I bring it for lunch. Always a good thing. Now, the first thing we wanna do is use that couscous. So I'm using a cup. Now, for a cup of couscous, you just want to use a cup of hot liquid as well, but you want to make sure you're using this fine couscous, not the big kind of pearl couscous. That stuff you actually have to boil, almost like pasta or rice. This stuff, you just kind of steam cook it. You can get a whole wheat variety or the kind of normal plain variety. Feel free to do either or. Both work exactly the same. Now, into there, I'm going to add in some flavors. I'm going to start building up kind of a Greek salad vibe. So the first thing I'm going to add in is about half of a red onion that I've just finely diced up. Now, if you like punchy, strong red onion, feel free to add this later, but by adding it now, along with that hot liquid, it's gonna pull back on the spiciness of that onion, giving you less of the like, onion breath situation. A little softer, kind of cooks it down, gets that flavor into that couscous as well. Now into there to build this up, I'm using water for this couscous. You could also use stock, but one of my favorite hacks is just using some bouillon powder. So I always keep a little jar of this on hand all the time because this adds so much flavor, lots of salty goodness, so I don't need to season this. But I'm just adding in a teaspoon of bouillon powder. You can use chicken, you can use vegetable, you can use mushroom, really whatever you want. And then we're gonna go on with that hot water. So I'm gonna give this a little bit of a stir just to combine everything up. Right now, this looks truly not great because it's just like crunchy couscous with onions in it, but it's gonna cook up in no time. All right, so this is almost to the boil. That'll be perfect. I'm gonna add 1 cup of boiling liquid right on into that couscous. Couscous is really easy to remember. It's 1-to-1 ratio, so you're good to go. Add that on. Give it a little bit of a stir, just to kind of make sure everything's nice and coated. And then quickly, to trap that steam, grab a plate or some plastic wrap and pop it on top. You're trapping that steam, that's gonna start, you're gonna see it kind of build up on the sides of the bowl. That's gonna help that couscous cook and get fluffy and beautiful and delicious. So that's it. Couscous is pretty much ready. Let's get working on the chicken. So I have got some chicken here. This recipe calls for 4, but I'm gonna do 2 just today to show you. But because I want this to cook ultra fast, I wanna butterfly and almost pound this chicken out to make it nice and thin. So I've got a chicken breast here, a beautiful stunner. I've never seen a better looking chicken breast. Oh my gosh. I know this is weird, but like, what's happening? I don't understand. Okay, so I'm gonna show you how to butterfly it. So basically grab your knife, you can use any size knife you'd like, I use a chef's knife, and just kind of cut into the side of it, just to kind of open it up like a book. Then you just wanna flip it, and then you just wanna pound that with a meat mallet. You could use a rolling pin, you could use a like pan if you've got it, but I like to cover it with a little bit of plastic, which is always the only fight I have in the kitchen, is with plastic wrap. Pop that on top just to save on cleanup. And then I've got a meat mallet here, and you just wanna pound that. Take your knife off, Mary. Until it's about 1 centimeter or about 1/2 inch thick. You can use the kind of hard side with the little divots or, you know, the smooth side. This is a fun way also to get your frustrations out. Have a good time. And when you're kind of getting that chicken, you want to hit and kind of like you're playing a timpani, if anybody is a percussionist in the audience. Hit it out like this, because that's going to make it so it doesn't split. It's going to get you a beautiful, perfect chicken breast. This tenderizes it, makes it cook ultra quick, and keeps it nice and juicy. All right, that's looking perfect to me. Just going to transfer this chicken over onto a plate. And then I'm just going to go give my hands a little bit of a wash, because, you know, chicken. I don't know why the chicken crossed the road, but I know why I'm crossing the kitchen, because it's to wash my hands, because I just touched chicken. All right. Now, anytime, again, I've got 2 cutting boards out because I am gonna be chopping up some vegetables. Anytime you're working with raw chicken, obviously get rid of all that stuff as soon as possible and you'll be good to go. Now I wanna season this chicken up and give it a little bit of kind of like a Greek flavor. So onto there, I'm going on with a little bit of lemon zest and lemon juice. This makes for an ultra quick marinade. Because I'm using lemon juice, which is really, really acidic, that's gonna start breaking into that chicken, getting flavor in there really, really quickly. And I love using zest if I'm using juice because it's just free flavor right there. I bought the lemon, might as well use the whole thing. Give that a little cut and just add on that juice. Now, in addition to this is where you can kind of take this. I'm going Greek with this chicken and this couscous, but you could go really any direction you feel like. But for a Greek-style chicken, I'm going on with about a teaspoon of dry oregano. Dry oregano has a really nice kind of perfumey quality. It's really, really beautiful. Give that a scatter over top. I'm going in with half a teaspoon of dry thyme. If you want to, you can also just do like Italian seasoning, do like an Italian-style chicken. Then for a little bit of smoky goodness, I'm going on with some smoked paprika, about half a teaspoon of that as well. I always refer to smoked paprika as like the bacon of my pantry, because it's kind of bacony, you know? Like you've got that smokiness, which is delightful. Then I'm also going on with just half a teaspoon of garlic powder, because I could not be bothered when I'm making a 12-minute dinner to chop garlic. I don't want to do that. So we're using the powdered stuff. All right, season that up with some salt, little bit of pepper as well. Right now, it looks very well coated. But what I'm gonna do now is add on about a tablespoon of olive oil and just give it kind of a flop around. Anytime I am cooking any sort of protein in a pan, I usually like to oil the protein rather than the pan because it's a little less spitty, which is delightful because I hate the cleanup after with the spits everywhere. Ugh, nightmare. This gives you the perfect amount to get it all coated, but not so much that you're ending up with like, you know, a banana's mess on your hands. Just give it a flop around. Get it all coated. And then I've got a pan over here over high heat. Typically when I'm cooking chicken, especially chicken breast, I usually do it over a medium or medium high, but we want high for this because it's nice and thin. That's gonna give you a good color on the outside and then give you that perfectly cooked chicken. This only takes, oh wait, is it on high? Uh-oh. Just kidding, everybody. It wasn't on at all. That was on me. So I'm gonna cook this over the break, but you know what? You get the idea. Cook it for about 2 minutes per side. It's gonna be delicious, golden brown, juicy. Arguably too juicy right now, but it's gonna be fine. All right, we're gonna get that done, don't worry. But we're gonna move on to a delicious salad super quickly. Now, since I'm doing like a Greek salad couscous, I've got all the usual suspects over here. I've got a bell pepper, some cucumber, some cherry tomatoes, olives, herbs, and all you wanna do here is just chop these up however you like them. I like a halved cherry tomato. I feel like producers on this show just realized now that I never serve a full cherry tomato. I think it's because they've seen me eat a Greek salad at lunchtime, and if there's a whole cherry tomato, I don't eat it. There's a scene in Lord of the Rings that I don't want to reenact, and that's what I'm basically avoiding. If you know, you know. Don't worry about it. So I'm just gonna chop those in half. It gets them nice and juicy. You get all that deliciousness. Chop up that cucumber however you'd like. I'm gonna dice mine. We got this chicken in a pan, in a hot pan. It's cooking away, doing its thing. But honestly, it looks so beautiful. All those spices have lightly blackened on the outside. This is perfectly cooked, nice and juicy. So I just wanna set this chicken aside. Anytime you're cooking a protein, you wanna give it a chance to relax. Because like coming in from like cold when you're like this or like hot, you know when you jump into a hot shower and you're like, ugh, and then you just need to like relax into it, that's what's happening. It's gonna allow the juices to redistribute and be beautiful. So I'm just gonna set these chicken pieces aside and I'm just gonna pop them onto the plate that I put on top of that couscous. Less dishes, which is a delight. All right, perfect. And again, this is super quick, super simple, really, really tasty. And I'm just gonna move this on over here because we've got that couscous still steaming, but honestly, it's probably good to go. I think you can see that little bit of steam caught on the outside of the bowl. All of that water and liquid has been absorbed to make a beautiful, flavorful grain. I'm feeling very excited about it, but I still got some vegetables to chop up. And I hear we have a few questions in the audience. So does anybody have a question? Jay, what's going on?
All right, Mary. First up, we have Emily who has a question for you. Go ahead, Emily.
Hi, Mary.
Hi.
How do you keep your chicken breast from drying out?
Oh, great question. Great question, Emily. I'm gonna say, okay, so one of my favorite things to do is, again, pound it nice and thin, because then you're gonna cook it quicker. The longer it's on the heat, the more likely it's gonna dry out, because essentially what's happening when you're cooking that chicken is the protein is seizing up. That's what you want to happen. It wants to tighten as it cooks. So that basically, just like squeezing a sponge, squeezes out the moisture. It evaporates with the heat. So what you don't want to do is, you know, leave it on the heat too long. That's a thing. I also love doing a little bit of a brine on my chicken. Whether it's a dry brine, season it up nicely with salt, or even like a wet brine where you do something like buttermilk fried chicken and you soak it in the buttermilk for a while before. That's a key one. I'm trying to think of another one. Honestly, if you're really looking to not overcook your chicken, boneless, skinless chicken thighs, very rarely you can overcook those babies. Nice and juicy, super simple to cook too. Thanks so much for your question. That was great. Yeah. All right, while I chop up these cucumbers, Jay, I can see somebody else has got a question too.
So our next question comes in from Janice. Go ahead, Janice.
Hi.
Hi, Mary. Whenever I am cooking pasta for a large amount of people, I use a very large stock pot, lots of water, but still my pasta seems to stick together and I just don't know what to do and how to cook.
Well, first off, Janice, how many people are you cooking pasta for? I love this.
Well, I had a dinner party recently. It was 8.
Okay, yep.
And that was a lot of pasta.
Yeah.
I used my biggest pot. It's still
stuck together, hey?
Yeah.
Honestly, I think when you add the pasta, do you give it a bit I know immediately it's kind of hard to stir, but do you give it a little bit of a stir when you add it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, usually yes.
Okay. That is the key. So basically what's happening when you're cooking your pasta, you put it into the hot water and the starches, kind of opposite of what happens with cooking meat, come to the outside, and starch is kind of like food glue. So that glue kind of wants to stick those noodles together. So the only real way to get in the way is to be like a chaperone at a high school dance. Does that make sense? Get in there and just be like, cut it out. Cut it out. You don't want to do that. So giving it a stir, honestly, probably if you're having a real issue with it sticking together, giving it a stir every minute or two should actually help things kind of break apart because you're just kind of getting in the way of those things sticking together. I also would say if you're using a pot that isn't wide enough, that could also add to it. If it's maybe a little more narrow, like a stock pot tends to be, that might be an issue. The wider the pot, the better. That's what I usually do. That was a great question, though. Thanks so much. Listen, here at The Good Stuff, we got a good audience, so y'all are absolutely crushing it. Now, I am just finishing off this beautiful salad. So if I were to actually just leave this as is, this would be a beautiful salad. It would be super tasty, really wonderful. But to really kind of Greek salad it up, I'm also going in with some Kalamata olives, which I absolutely love. We in the Berg house, us ladies, like salty food. So a little bit of an olive, so good. But we also love cheese. And to me, the cheese that is also salt is feta. So I've got a block of feta here that I'm just gonna kind of crumble on top of here. Yeah, we're doing the whole block. You guys were excellent. So whole block of feta right on there. And that, as is, would be a honestly fantastic little salad. A little bit of lemon juice, a little bit of oil. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna uncover this couscous. So we've got that chicken all nice and rested. Just gonna set that aside. And this onion, again, since it was in there with that heat, has kind of pulled back. What you wanna do with couscous, though, is give it a little bit of a fluff. That's gonna give you a lovely texture. It's gonna have a little bit of bite to it, kind of like an al dente pasta. It's gonna be perfect. So I'm just gonna give that a mix. Then we're gonna go in with that into this beautiful salad bowl with all those herbs, all that deliciousness. I know, sometimes you're like, Mary, I want more than a salad for dinner. So you add that couscous on, maybe a little bit of lemon zest, maybe a little bit of a lemon juice on there as well. And then obviously, a little bit more oil is always good if you can squeeze your lemon. We're feeling good. If you didn't want to do lemon as well, a little vinegar would be great. Some olive oil. This chicken looks like a total dream. I always have tzatziki on hand in my fridge, so pop that on the side, give this a nice mix together, just to get all those colors throughout. And doesn't that look like a beautiful, bright salad? Easy as anything, and you are good to go. You got chicken, you got veg, you got starch, you got a sauce, you got it all. Thanks so much for your questions, guys. That was great. Hey, Mary here. What did you think? Drop your comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more of The Good Stuff.